What's up, guys? Welcome to NBTV Canes all day. If you rock it with you, then you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button so you never miss out on a video. Today, Mario Cristobal talked to Joe Rose, and he was on the Joe Rose show. And I just want to listen to this interview and give my commentary to this interview. Now, I feel like Mario was comfortable with Joe. I feel like sometimes he says things that he wouldn't say in a normal press conference. So that's why I want to take a listen to this, give my thoughts and everything to this. If you just want to watch the full interview uninterrupted, I'll put that in the description. But if you want to hear my thoughts on what Mario has to say and me listening to it, stick around. Let's get it.
Other good things.
Yeah. So it's a unique thing that's going on in college football right now. What you've put together, let's just start with that. The first portal, the second window portal after spring. Some of your high school guys from this past recruiting class graduated early to be here for spring. Now you're getting a chance to look at the second half that have been here now for a couple of months working out with your guys. And then the injured guys coming back. And here we got, now you're going, wow, all right. This, what kind of adjustment is it for you? You're working off how good some of the guys were last year. Guys that have played and 21, 22, 23 that have been on other teams, you've got a pretty good idea how they are. And then the development, all these young guys, and trying to figure out here in the next few weeks who's going to play and who's not.
Yeah, well, you know what, we've planned out probably 2.5, almost 3 years in advance in terms of the roster turnover, meaning we wanted these super high caliber freshmen to come together with some of the guys that were going to be here, you know, the handful of guys that were legitimate good players, contributors, and whatnot, and then sandwich that with some high-level portal guys. Now, not only high-level portal guys, but like-minded portal guys. And we feel that this thing came together really nicely so that experience, young talent, maturity, and leadership are spread out, you know, at most positions throughout the roster. And from a depth standpoint, you know, we feel we've really increased the amount of quality depth at most positions.
Yeah.
I think in the past couple of years, we haven't had that quality depth. So one injury kind of set us back. But I think in a lot of positions, we got guy A can come out and guy B can do exactly. But one of the challenges with what Mario just said is now it's up to him and the leadership council to get this locker room on one accord. And I honestly think that starts with a confident leader at the quarterback position. And then you got to look on the defensive side of our leaders. And I think it looks like we got guys that will get this locker room straight. And hopefully what I'm trying to say is that Mario can jail these high caliber freshmen, these elite portal pickups, and the guys who's been on the team contributing the last couple years. Now that we have that nice depth chart, can Mario get them to jail and succeed? And I think they have. It seems like we have guys. We'll see what happens when the bullet starts flying.
Quality depth at most positions.
Yeah, and by the way, I think everybody's got a pretty good feel for that. So I got to ask you about some of the guys you've had. And again, I know we haven't put pads on, so I'm jumping ahead here. Like Damian Martinez, running back from Oregon State, comes in. Simeon Barrow. Everybody's raving about Tyler Barron and how good he's been, and Sam Brown, a wide receiver. Just a teaser of some guys you brought in here in the last few months that you're really counting on. Those are guys you go, you guys are here. You could have gone a lot of places. We expect you to be really good.
Yeah, you know, and actually we've been in pads. We've had several practices already in pads. Today is full pads, but
yeah.
You know what, Joe? There's not much difference nowadays. I mean, our guys have done a better job of staying up and practicing full speed, and occasionally go to the ground, but they've done a better job of staying up. But, yeah, these are guys that, even though they got here late, they have so many reps and so much experience logged to their names that their adjustment is rather smooth. You know, schematically, most of them, especially a guy like Sam Brown, ran a similar, almost identical system at Houston, right? Terminology is very familiar. Same thing with Tyler and Simeon and whatnot. So, all in all, you've got some guys that have been able to adjust rather quickly and bring a lot to the table. So today should be a great indicator of where things stand.
Not to talk about individuals, but that's part of what we do to get people lathered up a little bit here. Mesidor. Everybody is raved about.
I believe a healthy Akeem Mesidor can change this defense. the slightest we've seen of him, I'm saying this man is everywhere. And then he got hurt, and Ruben Bain starts to take over, and you forget. We bring in Tyler Barron, but I'm interested to see what he's going to say about Akeem Mesidor.
About Mesidor and how good, basically injured last year, was good the year before, really good the year before, and they're just saying one of the many pass rushers you have on the outside that look really good right now. How's he look to you?
Well, we always thought he was one of the best players on our team. He's had a difficult time staying healthy, not to his fault. He works at it, but he's finally 100% healthy. And he looks like Akeem Mesidor, so he's been not only in the pass game as a pass rusher, but as a true line of scrimmage, just a force. He is very physical, he's very explosive, and he's very technical. Smart player that gets after it. Great motor, so he probably has had the best training camp of our players so far.
Wow. So the first thing is Mario is saying he's 100% ready to go. Normally Mario is very tentative when he talks about injuries and wants to temper expectations. So to say he's 100% ready to go, well, then that excites me. And then he goes on to say he's had the best camp out of everybody.
Training camp of our players so far.
Wow. Mark Fletcher, we got teased on just how good that big son of a...
Now it's going to be interesting to see. He said Akeem Mesidor was 100%. What is he going to say about Mark Fletcher?
Good that big son of a gun is out of American Heritage Plantation. And you get Damian Martinez, another guy, one of the best running backs in the country from Oregon State, comes in. You got two big backs to start with, along with some other guys. You look pretty deep at that position.
Getting better. Our depth, we're bigger, we're longer, so these guys are not only good at running the football, they're good at protection. They're good with some of the schematic stuff that we do aside from just pounding the ball. But besides being big, those guys can really accelerate, and they can accelerate through contact and run their feet through contact, and they can make you miss now. They're not those big guys that are stiff and can't shake and bake or whatnot. These guys can put a foot in the ground, make you miss, and then run by you. So just obviously, Mark, we've been bringing him back along. His return to play plan, is a little bit slower than what it is for a normal player coming in, but he is up to speed and he is on schedule to be ready to play.
Will Mark Fletcher play against Florida? That's my question. And when I look at two players, Akeem Mesidor and Mark Fletcher, both of them coming off injuries. Obviously, Akeem has had longer to heal from his injuries. But you said one player was 100%, and you said the other, we have a plan. This is just me guessing. Just me guessing. I don't know if Mark Fletcher will be 100% ready to go. That's interesting how he said that. You guys let me know what you think in the comments.
To be ready to play.
Boy, Cam Ward coming here early for spring football had to be really good for him, not to mention all the time he spends with all his guys out here. His leadership and what you've seen from him, everything you thought you'd be getting so far.
Probably more, you saw him in there. He's 5:30, 5:45. He's in there with the coordinator, chopping it up, just not only going through today's stuff, but some of the things that we can do better, some of the things that he sees. And then he's very inquisitive. He's always asking what he can do to get better, and then he takes that down to the locker room and out to the practice field.
I thought it was interesting listening to the comments last night. I had a chance to listen to your coordinators, both of them, about what they've seen, and guys are trying to get information and from Lance and Shannon on what's going on. I thought it was pretty interesting, though, that those guys were talking about Shannon specifically, Shannon Dawson, but we can't turn the ball over so much. Like, it doesn't matter who we are, that thing's got to get. That was the first thing out of his mouth. It is so amazing. We go back to fundamentals of the one killer. No matter how well you're playing, you turn over 3 or 4 times in a game, it's hard to win.
Turnovers and penalties. Turnovers and penalties. Turnovers and penalties. Got to improve on those for this upcoming season.
It's hard to win and beat anybody just about in college football.
It is, and possessions at the end, they reign supreme, right? How many times can you have the ball, keep the ball, and do something with it? So the areas of turnovers, penalties, third down, and red zone were the 4 areas that really there was some improvement, but not nearly enough.
Okay.
Nothing compared to what, total offense, yards per carry, least all that stuff took monster jumps. Those other 4 categories slightly improved. Nowhere near what it needs to be a winning football team, a championship football team. So the areas of focus have been that and more, but we certainly feel like we've been improving throughout camp.
The red zone with Damian Martinez and Cam Ward, and Cam Ward has already talked about how, it's the Cam Ward show in the red zone, and then you got somebody like Damian Martinez. This offensive line, I think we will be improved in the red zone, turnovers, and discipline.
Improving throughout camp.
All right, another guy everybody asked me about, Elijah Arroyo, the tight end. Everybody's seen his tapes from before. Freakish NFL-looking stuff. How's he doing? He's been fighting the injury bug.
He's a young Joe Rose, is what he is.
I don't know, man.
He just dropped a 0 from the jersey, number 8. Long, lean, explosive, great line of scrimmage blocker. I mean, he really, really is, and the guy's care factor is through the roof. And we felt that when we first got here, and he had an injury, and yet we're out playing in Atlanta, and we look up in the stands, and there he is. See, he flew himself up to watch the game because you have certain limits on how many guys you could travel,
right,
unbeknownst to anybody. So he's always been a guy with a super high care factor. It's translated to an unbelievable offseason for him. He's playing at a really, really high level, and the sky's the limit for him. He's kind of just scratching the surface of what he can do.
I know you're going to hate this next question, but I got to ask because we listen to national media and everybody's talking, and there's been some articles. This talent-wise, one of the best teams University of Miami's had in a long time on paper. And expectations are way up, and I'm guilty of saying this is the best-looking team I've seen in a long, long time around here. I know you haven't been here the whole time to see it. You've been, different places, but what are your thoughts when you hear that?
I've been away for a little bit.
Yeah. You've been a few places, yeah.
I think a couple of things. I think, number one, I think our expectations for ourselves will always completely just supersede any other expectations. I mean, the way we grind, you see the hours we put in. I mean, we're on a mission that just ain't going to be stopped. The other part, on paper's fine. We don't play games on paper. And I think our team, that's been like put in our team's lap. Like, paper's got to be
right
transitioned to the field. Football's never been a beauty contest. There's some beautiful looking teams out there, man. Big, strong, lean, great 40 times, great verticals. And when that lights come on, the ball's kicked off, don't look as good. We can't ever be that. So this team so far has done what it needs to do to improve on a daily basis so that we can achieve what we want to achieve. So these guys don't shy away from stuff. We've battened down the hatchets. We've kind of locked out the outside stuff. We're focusing on ourselves, and that's our MO.
Yeah.
So to touch base on the Elijah Arroyo thing, I'm very interested to see what he looks like in his offense. From the tea leaves, from what people are saying about him in practice, he looks big, he looks fast. And then to exactly what Mario just said, all that shit looks nice on paper. All of it looks nice. It feels good, getting all these preseason watch lists, preseason awards. But when the lights get bright, that's when you got to do it. And I'm glad Mario said that's been put in their lap. Like, hey, yeah, y'all look good on paper, but it got to transition onto the field. Otherwise, we're going to look like Boo Boo the Fool. Let's continue.
RMO.
Yeah, Mario, it's funny because you do everybody has to come together, and it doesn't happen every place. A lot of people have gone out, I don't want to say any programs, and done it, looked real good, and then it didn't come together for a lot of things, especially when you start talking about all the things we started with, the recruiting, the transfer portal, young guys that didn't develop or did develop, and the whole thing. And then you step back and you end up not having good chemistry on a team. But the leadership thing is just so important, not just from you as a head coach, but having a bunch of guys down there that can take care of when you have a little bitchy stuff going on or a little drama down in the locker room, or some guys are going to pout. We all have egos. Guys going to pout and get quiet. that can take care of all that stuff.
You got to hammer that, man. And I think that's one of the biggest things in coming to Miami that everyone's had to have the guts to do, to say the simplicity of saying, no, we ain't doing that BS. We're doing it this way, and to have guys that are willing to step up and tell others, this is the way we do things here at Miami. We don't do it that other way, And so the leadership part, it's a real thing now, and they're growing at it, and they're working at it, and it's translated into just some very physical, very productive practices, and that's what it comes down to, is loving the work. These guys love to work. You can push them hard. Why are people in this building excited? Because the talent level has certainly increased, but the caliber of human being and work ethic has certainly increased with it as well. So there's no fluff, there's no BS, there's no room for it. We've never been about that. And those pieces are starting to fall into place. It's looking more and more like what it's supposed to be.
Mario, you've talked about you're going to compete when you play. This is the way University of Miami's had success through the years. And I know it's not like it used to be where, guys understood. Andre Johnson's and all the rest of them had to have a year where they didn't get to play their first year before taking off and exploding and becoming great players in college and the NFL. Guys want it now. Has that been... You sound like you had a message for everybody when I heard you speak here the last few days about we're going to compete and you're going to have to earn it if you're going to play. I don't care if you're a teenager or a 23-year-old.
Without a doubt. It's got to be that way. And if instead of, sitting back and complaining about, well, there's a portal, there's NIL, there's so what? The best way to combat anything is to bring in good people that love to compete, and if there's a defection, bring in a better one. It's the bottom line. Don't worry about all the uncontrollables. Bring in people that fit the standard, that fit the mentality, and go to work. And it'll work out. And we feel again that they've come in droves in the last cycle and a half, and that's going to pay off. These guys are ready to go to work.
Now, that shit sound nice. It do sound nice. And I hope Mario is serious about that. The best guy plays. It don't matter if you were a 5-star coming in here. It don't matter if you did all this at another school. The best player has to play. And I believe that's the way you keep the integrity of your team, because soon as you start playing a player because he was a highly paid transfer over a player who deserves it, that's when things start to slip through the cracks. But the overall message of putting in the work, and hey, he talked about this earlier in the week. Look, stop whining about the transfer portal. Go get the people who fit your program. If they don't want to give it up, or they want to leave, let them leave. Because I honestly believe a coach could go crazy thinking about, what if this player transfers? What if this player? The coach has to do the best he can to win games. And if you're trying to play their favorite stuff, I don't know.
These guys are ready to go to work.
You feel we've talked about the secondary a little bit, and people are going, well, we got to find some safeties and more depth at the cornerback position. How do you feel about that? Excuse me, that group that you do have?
Well, in terms of depth, I think maybe one piece away. Maybe if in a perfect world, but quite honestly, I think, in fact, I thought the defense got the better of the offense for the last couple of days. Or 2 out of the last 3 days, offense got that one in the middle, and they're a big reason why. We're bigger and longer in a lot of places, and those guys learned a lot from a Cam Kitchens, from a James Williams. Those guys really, a guy like Jaden Davis, these are really good football players that taught our guys a lot. Corey Couch, all these guys, those guys don't get enough credit for staying around and helping build what is to come after that. They did a great job. I'm super impressed with the second.
Shout out to Mario for showing love to the last year's secondary. Jaden Davis, to Corey Couch, James Williams, and Cam Kitchens. Because most of the time, people only bring up Cam, and I love him. He's All-American. But, to Corey, was here for a while. James Williams could have went to Georgia, decided to come to Miami and stay at Miami. And Jaden Davis came over here last year, and that man was laying the wood. So I'm glad he did bring up them 4.
Super impressed with the secondary, because you know what they do? They're physical. And Lance Guidry's a back-end guy, and Chevis Jackson, and the guys that they have working with them, St. Felix and Sewell, those guys do a fantastic job back there.
I always love when guys that have been around this game that are starters really good go, man, I got to tell you, this young dude is going to be really good. And you've had some guys come out, and they happen to both be Chaminade guys in Patterson and Trader. One at safety and one at wide receiver. Guys that played in great programs. One probably should have won 1 or 2 national championships. That Chaminade team was that good. How good have those two been?
Been really good. They got a chance to help us out this year. They're young. They're learning. Sometimes they make really good plays and sometimes they get bounced around, but tremendous credit to their coach and their program. Damian Jones does a great job over there, and that program in itself has produced guys, put it this way, they have a really high hit rate, meaning guys that come out of there, they do really well when they go to college. But, they're not alone now. O.J. Frederic has stood out tremendously. He's competing for playing time.
You and I were talking about him from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Bobby Pruitt has been outstanding. Adarius Hayes has done the same. Popo now in his second year is bringing it. Armando Blunt, he got a little nicked up, nothing major, back in a day or two. But there's another guy that really stands out. Marquise Lightfoot, another guy that really stands out. Cole McConaughey. So the young guys did not come in with a young guy mentality. They get it that it's open season in terms of playing time, and they're made of the right stuff. So they fit in perfectly, and they're bringing it.
Yeah, I always wonder, the better players you bring in, 4- and 5-star guys, they all want to play right away, and they got a lot of people in their head and talking to them. Is it important to you to get some of those guys some playing time when you can, even in their first year?
If they earn it. Let's call it what it is. No matter what a guy's ranked, if he's not capable of helping the team, and if you break process and you put a guy in there just to kind of save and spare his feelings, you're going to lose the team.
I just said that. That's why Mario Cristobal. That's why I rock with him, because we on the same page. Keep talking, Coach.
You're going to lose a team. Don't do that. You know what I mean? If you missed in recruiting, you missed, and you know what? Help the guy develop so he can get to a point in his career where
that's what you're here for.
To a point in his career where he could really help us, because it's still about the end game, right? How good can you be going forward so you can play really well for the team and have a career? So, playing time here, it's not handed out due to a ranking. It's earned.
Is that something you talk about with these guys? Because you got teenage guys to guys almost 24, 25 years old. Hey, fellas, we're all here. We got a few weeks before we play the Gators, but you're going to have to earn it. I don't care what you did in the past. You have to have that.
You got to earn it, and you got to be trusted. You see how we practice. We create all kinds of challenging moments for our guys, from noise to situations to penalties, backed up, both offense and defense, and they got to respond. They got to perform. So, it doesn't matter whether you just walked in the door, you've been here 5 years. I mean, we have one guy that walked on where it was with the Marines for I don't know how many years, a big old joker. It don't matter. If you can play and help us, we're going to find a role for you, and that generates the right type of enthusiasm in the locker room.
I'll finish with this one, because this is a radio special I'm going to hit you with. Is the NIL a distraction at all? I hear different people talking about it, and some coaches have said, I'm done. I can't take the NIL. I'm not going to say any names. You might know some of those guys. But how's it been for you?
I don't think it's a distraction.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't think people are tired of it. They're tired of not having clarity on it. If there was more structure and understanding, if the needle didn't move every so often and people had a firm grasp of, okay, we can do this and not do that, I think everyone would settle down. I think at the end of the day, football is still going to be football, So I don't.
When you play on the football field, nobody's going to go, well, that guy's getting this and that guy's getting that. It's going to be about 11 on 11.
Yeah, I think people are incentivized to do more and do better, but I don't think it's been a distraction here. Good. If it is, obviously we'd address it head on. We don't shy away from confrontation.
Mario, thank you, man. It's been great.
Thank you.
We hit a lot there, boy. I tell you, when I'm with you, I feel like I had 2 extra Dunkin' Donut coffees, man. I'm telling you right now.
You're going to get a headset. You're going to get a helmet. You're going to get pads. Do whatever the hell you want to with it, brother. Thanks for being here, man.
Mario, thank you. Great having you. Head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal, with us this morning.
I love it when Mario is with Joe, because I feel like he says different things. I don't know. I think he's more comfortable on the Joe Rose show, but a couple things. The way he talked about the Akeem Mesidor injury versus how he talked about the Mark Fletcher injury. And basically, to me, it seems like he knows Akeem's going to be ready game one. Maybe Mark may not. Now he didn't say that, but he said there's a plan. So Mark Fletcher's still coming along. I got to say, I like how Mario is speaking about NIL. Anybody can cry about it. Anybody can whine about it. Everybody can keep on. But the bottom line is you got to line up and play football. And Mario knows that. At the end of the day, you got to take whoever has that you on and go to work. Because if you spend all your time whining and complaining, you're missing out on time on getting good players. I'm glad that we had the NIL to back this. I'm glad we got Mario for talent acquisition. Now, I would like to say I'm glad we got Mario because we're winning. That's what this team has to do is win, win, win. What did you guys take from this interview? Let me know what you think. I'm out. Peace.